Hello you all, welcome back to another video. My name is Rayshawn. For those of you who don't know me, people call me Ray. So in today's video, I will be talking about 5 of my favorite concealers, and I would definitely recommend. A lot of people always ask me, what concealers are you using? Which concealers are good? What brand is good? So I'm going to go over some of my favorite concealers, and I'm going to go over the consistency, why I like them, whether they are affordable or not. I do have some high-end and affordable concealer, so we're going to go over that today. And so we're also going to go over some powders that I will recommend. Those of you who are looking for some good powders and you don't know which one is the best, I'm going to go over them with you guys. I'm going to start from the least to the greatest of them. So if you want to know what powders and what concealers I do use and recommend for you all to use as well. But before we get started, go ahead and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I upload a video, and of course subscribe to my channel. Thank you. If you just mess with me and you like my videos, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into. So starting from, I'm not gonna say the least, but yeah, the least, just not actually starting from the affordable ones. So one of my favorite drugstore concealers are, which is definitely like kind of new to me, but I've been using it over the past like 4 months. So that is the Neutrogena Radiant Cream Concealer. This is from the Healthy Skin line. This concealer is really beautiful. The way that it glides onto the skin, it's not too thick, it's not too thin. It just blends out very smoothly like a dream. This concealer is definitely perfect for those of you who just want to do like spot conceal and you just kind of want to blend it out and go. This concealer is great for that. This is also, of course, good for underneath the eyes, just to kind of blend it out, give you a highlighted look, or you can find your shade and just go ahead and do a spot conceal. I know that some people use concealer as a foundation. I mean, you can do it with that too. Really, with all of the concealers that I'm showing you, out of all of them, this will be the thinner one. When I say thin, I don't mean thin, but it's going to be the thinner one of the 5. So this concealer is in the shade Java D2, and I have 2, Java D2 and Medium D2, I think it is. And I do use my concealers for highlighting purposes only. I don't use my concealers to spot conceal or to use, you know, all over as like a foundation. I don't use it for that. So that's a disclaimer. So if you are my complexion, you're looking for like a highlighter concealer, that's what all of these concealers will be. But you can still use them because they're good for whatever else that you like to use concealers for. The second concealer I want to talk about, which I love, and it's not really new, but I started using it this year, but it's very affordable. I had watched someone on YouTube talk about, you know, this concealer being a good match with the L'Oreal foundation. So I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and get the L'Oreal foundation and the concealer, which I did do. So this is the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer. This one is in the shade Cocoa. I also have it in the shade Honey or Toffee, or Honey and Toffee as well. Oh, Honey and Caramel, I think. Yeah, Honey and Caramel, yeah. So this is the concealer, and this concealer is really good, has a great consistency. It is a little thicker, and you do have to blend it out a little bit more quicker because it dries up a little quicker, but that's the beauty of it, because it will stay in place and it won't be moving around all over your face, and it won't really crease up under the eyes because it's not that dry. I do recommend that you set these concealers with a powder just to make sure, or just to assure that they stay in their place and that the concealer is not moving all around, because if you don't, as good as these concealers are, they will begin to crease up and they will begin to move around underneath the eye, and that is not a good look. So this is a concealer right here. This does have like a bigger doe foot applicator, which I do like, because it just glides underneath the eyes quicker and you don't have to add as much. So a little bit of that concealer definitely does go a long way. They have a wide variety of concealer, so I'm sure that you will find your shade in those, and definitely in the L'Oreal concealer. They have a lot. So next, I want to talk about another concealer that I rave about on my channel, and I love this concealer. Now, this concealer is not drugstore. This is the beauty supply store, and this is the Nicka K Perfection Multi-Use Concealer Super Coverage. This is it right here. Again, this is for highlighting purposes. Mine is in the shade number 9. I use number 9 and number 10. This concealer is great. It has nice coverage, full coverage actually, thick, creamy, whipped. It is just a beautiful concealer, and I absolutely love it. A little bit of this concealer definitely do go a long way. It is super affordable. It costs only $3.99. or I think it's either $2.99 or $3.99, and this concealer is good. You better get it before the price go up because this concealer is amazing. So if you was looking for me to talk about the LA Pro Girl concealer, I'm not, because ever since these came out, if you haven't tried it, these are a lot better, a lot thicker. They look better. They look more high end on the skin. They are absolutely beautiful, and they come in a variety of shades. So you will be able to gather these for your kit or find yourself a shade for yourself, because they are that good. These are amazing. I love them so much. This also has a thicker applicator as well, even thicker than the L'Oreal Full Wear one. These are just so good. You will only find them at the beauty supply store, and I highly recommend these. They're going fast because every time I go to the beauty supply store, they're always kind of like empty, because I think people are buying them out. Like, they're buying them. Okay, so last but not least, this concealer is really good. And I kind of revisited this concealer because a lot of people were talking about it, and I was like, I need to pick up that concealer again, because I had it before and I really wasn't, I used it, I wasn't super hype about it, but once it was gone, it was basically gone. And I just forgot about it, to be quite honest. So then when I heard other people talking about it, I was like, okay, well, let me pick that concealer up again. And so this is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer. This is it right here. I did use it on my makeup today. If my makeup looked matte, it's because I did use the Too Faced Born This Way 24-hour matte foundation. So if my face looking a little matte, it's not really the concealer, it's the foundation. It also has a thick applicator. Not as thick as the Nika K, but it has a thick applicator. The formula is really good. It's smooth. It lasts underneath the eyes. I don't see any creasage under my eyes, which I have been having to deal with over the past like 2 months. I've been dealing with a little bit of creasage like right underneath my waterline on my skin, of course, and I ain't like that. Once again, it's smooth. It lasts a long time. Again, you can use this to spot conceal. You can use this if you want to kind of do a little foundation like all over, like a lot of people do. I don't. But this concealer is definitely good for that. It has the coverage to hold and to look good on the skin and to cover blemishes. This concealer is a little bit thicker. It's not drying underneath the eyes or on the skin. It's very smooth and it blends out beautifully. I love this color. Mine is in the shade Chai. So mine, again, is only for highlighting purposes. I do not use concealer for spot conceal or like foundational purposes or whatever the case may be. But this one is a good, I think I picked a great color as far as my concealer is concerned, because sometimes I will mix it, but I don't need to mix that. It's not too dark and it's not too light. It's perfect. Another concealer that I only use for underneath my eyes is the Tarte Shape Tape. This concealer, of course, will always be a staple. It will be a cult favorite. It is just a really good concealer. They do have a lot. I feel like they could maybe expand the shades maybe just a little bit more. Throw in some in-between shades, but other than that, this concealer is really good. It's definitely more of a, the concealer definitely is more of a matte concealer. It doesn't say matte, but it's kind of matte, which is good if you have creasage under the eyes or you feel like your concealer never stays put. This concealer is really good for that. Now, I do use mine for brightening. This one is in the shade called Tan Deep Sand, and I also use the shade Deep as well. This concealer has a great consistency, a big doe foot applicator. A little bit of this go a long way. It's definitely a long wearing concealer, because once it's on, it stays in place. It's beautiful, easy to blend out. I almost forgot to mention that. So I think that makes 6 concealers. So that's 6, my bad. Let's go ahead and jump into some of the powders that I would recommend that you guys use, or if you're looking for some powders that you feel like you don't know which ones to choose, I'm gonna go ahead and refer you to the ones that I've used, and I can say that these are good. So I'm gonna go ahead and start from not the least of them, but the more affordable one. And this is the Sephora Microsmooth powder. This is it right here. This one is in the shade Deep. This is an all over face powder for me. This powder is good. Now, I like this powder. It is definitely a dupe for the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish powder. And I always say that because it is, because if you like that powder, this is a dupe, more affordable, of course. You can get it at Sephora. This powder is really good. It looks like, I think it is a mineral based powder, and it just leaves the skin like a nice finish. Add color to your face as far as like changing your foundation. It just looks really good, sets the makeup well, and it's pretty. So I do like this powder for a long time. And then because this is a baked powder, it will last you for a long time. Like, you will have this for like ever, to be honest, forever. And that's how the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish powders are. You'll have them forever because they're baked. Another powder that I want to talk about that is good for setting underneath the eyes. Now, this is not the shade that I would prefer, but I did pick it up because I wanted to try it. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Loose Setting Powder. This one is in the shade Banana, a little bit bright, but I still like it. I'm just showing it as a reference of a powder that is good. Now, the powder that I would use for my complexion to set underneath my eyes with the Anastasia Beverly Hills powder is the Deep Peach one. So you are my complexion, you're looking to set underneath your eyes, Deep Peach is so beautiful. It is the most prettiest color underneath the eyes. I feel like Anastasia Beverly Hills got it right. That powder is beautiful. Now, I only got this because they didn't have Deep Peach, so I was like, well, let me just try this as a brightener underneath the eyes, and I do like it. So the Anastasia Beverly Hills powders are good. They only come in about 4 or 5 shades. No, 5 shades. I think they come in like 5 to 6 different shades. Deep Peach is a good one, so make sure you pick it up if you are my complexion. If you want something a little bit brighter, go with vanilla. I think banana is a little bit lighter than vanilla, so try vanilla. I think that's one. Next, another powder that I want to talk about is the Patrick Starr One Size Ultimate Setting Powder. Now, this is it right here. Again, I always say I'm going to get the big one. This is translucent. It only comes in 2 shades, which is translucent, and I think they have a medium or a translucent medium or something like that. Because the powders are literally for setting underneath the eyes. They are not for anything else, so you don't need 1,000 powders. They're just for setting underneath the eyes for brightening purposes. This powder is just so good. I love it so much. It sets underneath the eyes beautifully. I talked about it already enough on my channel. If you haven't tried it, you should try it. Patrick Starr is the connoisseur of powders, like, period. I've bought so many powders because of him. And that's how I was able to maneuver between which powder is the best, because he knows powders very well. So this powder is so good. It just transformed the under eye. You are a lighter skin complexion, you can definitely use this for underneath the eyes and kind of set your whole face as well. Something that he definitely do with translucent powder, so you can definitely do that as well. I just use it for underneath my eyes. Beautiful powder. I love it. Another powder that I want to talk about that I've used on my channel, and I talked about this plenty of times, is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter powder in the shade Honey. I used it on my under eyes today. It's just a nice powder. I did do the battle of the powders between the Anastasia Beverly Hills and the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter powder. This powder did win. It just looked better on my skin. Mind you, I did use the Anastasia Beverly Hills powder in the shade Banana, so it was a bit bright. Maybe if I used Deep Peach, it would have been a better match. But anyways, this powder is just really good. It looks flawless underneath the eyes. It almost gives kind of a filter look, and that's what it says, Pro Filter. It gives kind of a filter effect, so I do like that when I do use this powder. It sets underneath the eyes beautifully. Now, I would recommend, if you have dry skin, not to bake with this powder, just to kind of, put it on, tap it off, and set underneath the eyes, because this powder is a little thick in consistency. It's almost like a full coverage, even though it's underneath the eyes setting powder or whatever. So you don't need to use a lot. Now, if you know what you're doing, you're a makeup artist, then you know what I'm talking about. You can go ahead and go in a little bit, go in a little harder. But other than that, this powder is just so good. Mine is in the shade Honey, and I used to have one in the shade Hazelnut. Hazelnut is for the girl who maybe be she could be darker than me and she want to use that as an under eye powder. Hazelnut will be good. And if you just want to use the Fenty Beauty powders as a face powder, because Fenty has a variety of those powders, so I'm pretty sure you can use one as a setting powder for the whole face or finishing powder, whatever. I can't not mention the Laura Mercier Translucent Honey Powder. I mean, it is amazing. Once again, if you like the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder or the Medium Setting Powder, which is the medium deep, you would like this powder. This is an in-between of the medium deep and the translucent. She got the color right this time, and it's perfect for setting underneath the eyes. I really like this a lot. Now, I noticed that a lot of dark-skinned girls still prefer the Laura Mercier Translucent powder because it just gives a better brightness, but they literally are the same powder. One just have more color to give the underneath the eyes, to make underneath the eyes look a little bit more flattering if your complexion is darker, since the Laura Mercier translucent medium deep is a little bit too dark to go underneath the eyes. Well, if you're dark skinned, you might like it, that's fine. Or if you want to use it as an all over face powder, that's fine too. But this one, the medium, is the translucent honey, is really good. Perfect complexion, not too yellow, not dark, not too bright underneath the eyes. It is just beautiful. It's flawless. It leaves also too very smooth underneath the eyes, gives you like a filter effect, lifts the eye, to me, in my opinion, and it just looks beautiful. I love this powder. It is just amazing. So this is definitely one I would recommend. I do not want to leave that out because that is a good one too to use. At least I want to talk about one more powder, and you guys probably already know what powder this is. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Complexion Micro Smooth Powder. This is the powder right here. I don't want to show it too much on the camera because it's going to reflect. This is the powder right here. Now mine is in the shade Deep 4 or 4 Deep. I do use this to set all over my face. It doesn't change the way my foundation looks. My foundation still looks good. Basically sets the makeup, and that's all that it really does. And it just looks pretty in my opinion. And I just like this powder to set my whole face. You can also use this to set underneath the eyes, add a little brightness if that's what you're wanting to use it for. You can also do that. So you guys, now talked about that powder so much, you know I love it. So that concludes the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Now let me know down in the comments which powder or concealer you will be purchasing, or which one you already have and you actually like it. Now if you would recommend a new powder to me and or concealer, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below because I do want to check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do so now. If you care, go ahead and share this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. I love you all. Bye.